guys. My name is Leesha Gooseberry. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'll be 53 in a week and a half. I served almost 27 years in prison. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, childhood abuse, teenage, teenage and childhood abuse, human trafficking, sexual rape. I was 15 years old, much older man, 39, set his eyes on me. Notorious drug kingpin decided that he wanted me and there was nothing I can do about it. I ended up shooting him in the course of him abusing me, and I ended up going to prison, served all that time. But in the midst of me serving all that time, I ended up learning a whole lot, about me in life. I don't want to go into the whole story about that because it'll take us all night. So I wanted to talk about basically how I learned about me, because I didn't know anything about me because I had lived for everybody else as a child growing up. I had the responsibility of caring for my brothers and sisters. I was abused by my stepdad as well growing up. And I had to grow up really fast by taking care of my two brothers while my mom worked and went to school. So I never had the opportunity to just be a kid. So then I ended up being with this man and he forced me to be a woman. I still never had a chance to be the child. That child still lived in me when I went on to be with him, and then I went to prison. I get out of prison, making it short, get out of prison. I still don't know who I am. The child was still in me, and I had to learn about me, and I had to take time to figure out who are you, because I found that at times I would want to cry. My feelings, I wore my feelings on my sleeve. Everything hurt my feelings, or I was smart as far as book wise went, because I had educated myself in prison because the education was free. So I went to prison, went to school for 25 years and just took advantage of all that I had to offer. But my emotions, I didn't know what to do with some of those feelings. Although they had group therapy and all this different stuff, I took advantage of, but nobody prepared me, or prepare any of us on how you deal with family emotion. How would you take rejection? How you deal with rejection from your own family, your mother, your daughter, your brothers, your sisters, how you deal with rejection or hatred towards your own self for what I had did. So I didn't know how to deal with or come to terms with, had I truly forgiven myself? And I found that after all those years of doing all that time in prison, that I truly didn't even forgive myself. I still was blaming myself for what I had did, for number one. So that stunted my growth. So I had to take time out since being out of prison. I got out December 7, 2012, to sit back in all the turmoil. The family is still the same way it was. I wasn't expecting it. I thought they had grew as I had grown. So all those feelings had came back that I felt as a child. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I would try to talk to people, but people went on with their lives. A lot of people didn't want to hear it. I felt that I was ice cold and I couldn't understand that. So I had to take time out. That's when God stepped in and I started building God has always been there. He didn't step in, excuse me. He has always been there, but I started building my relationship more and more with God and start connecting with my higher power and depending on my faith and taking time to meditate and getting to know me. I knew that like things about myself, I didn't know a lot of things about myself. Like I knew I loved to cook. But at one point I cooked because I was forced to cook to take care of my brothers. But I knew that I found that I loved to cook because when I cooked, I saw the joy that it gave people. That was something that I really, really loved to do. I found that I loved to read. At one point I was reading because I had a stroke, and I read because I felt that it would help me to regain my memory. But I absolutely love to read. Because like when you're in school, you're forced to read, but no, I love to read. All these different things I found. I love to walk, to jog, things that I'm finding that I love to do, and they're not forced on me. All the things that we take for granted in life are just so precious to me. I'm finding, and all the stuff that I'm finding that I really, really love, I'm wondering, and I talk to certain people that are still in jail, I'm trying to prepare them for when they come out on the outside. Do you know this? Are you preparing yourself for when you get out? If your family may reject you, and they're like, and my friends will tell me, no, why should I? No, you should think about that. So I think me as a person that's coming from prison after doing all that time, we need to start putting in places, or I'm trying to get something put into place where we can help those ladies that are coming home so they could be prepared and they don't have to go through what I went through, because I went through such pain. It was a pain that felt like somebody had died because of the rejection, the slaps in the face of shut up, you dumb, you don't know what you're talking about. My God, what are you saying? And I was speaking from my heart, and I really didn't realize I was talking as a child instead of talking as a woman. I was wearing my sleeves on my feelings on my sleeve, or like when I had shared with you guys before, when I would just pop up at people's house, I didn't know that the proper thing to do was to call before you showed up at somebody's house. Things had changed after 27 years. People weren't doing that anymore, but I still couldn't understand, why do I have to call before I come to your house? That took me a long time to comprehend and to really truly understand that's just the way it is. It's the mannerable thing to do. But in the 80s, we weren't doing that. We would just show up. Another thing, I embraced kids in the 80s. I've always loved children and cared for people, other people's kids. Now, and then I found myself doing that, and I ended up getting robbed. Things were stolen from me, taken from me. When I would pull in the kids from the community, all this stuff happened to me. You can no longer do that. Yeah, I have to learn how to guard myself and protect myself to keep myself from harm. It's just so much with being incarcerated that we don't know and we come out. But the bottom line of my story is all the abuse that I've suffered. My goal is to share the little girl within me and the grown up within me, to share with the world. That way I can prevent another child from going through what I went through, so they never have to feel the type of pain that I felt, that they can have someone they could talk to, someone that could relate to them, someone that they could depend on, and that's not going to turn their back on them. They could pick up the phone and they could call me and I'm going to listen, or whoever is on my team, we will listen. And so it's very, very important to me that I share my story and get my story out there. And it's like more people that's like me that feel the same. You guys, I'm very tired. I went to work, but I wouldn't have missed this for anything in the world.